Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and Viewer's Choice Build number 2, part 2 of the Eduard MIG 21 PFM. So, I left off. I'd finished the this first page of construction. The cockpit area, got the instrument panel assembled minus the photo etch, got these parts done, and then I got this portion here done. And my plan was on this episode to start priming and painting for this stuff, but I've changed my mind because I like to maximize my airbrush time. So what I'm going to do is build up some more sub-assemblies and get it all ready for paint, or for primer and paint, and then I will do the primer and paint whenever it kind of I get a little bit more going. Probably once I get everything done and ready to actually put into the fuselage. So the next part is going to be right here with more of the internal fuselage parts. So what I'm going to do, and this is kind of cool, you know, as I've said in some of my earlier videos, I'll cut and sand some of the parts, but then I stop early on because it's not really necessary to see. And one of my viewers was like really stoked with that idea, and I thank him for saying something about it, because I agree. There's no need to do all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all these parts excuse me, I'm going to cut them off the sprue and have them ready for assembly, and we can just go right into assembly. Now, just as a quick tip, whenever this is something I do, since I like to cut all the parts off, if they're really similar, I like to lay them out how they are in the illustration, and as I clean them, I just put them back from where I got them. That way I don't get stuff mixed up, and hopefully minimize the potential for doing something backwards. So got these cut off, and just real quick, like, I want to point out the detail on these things is really nice, really good stuff. All right, so as you can see, these parts are shaped to fit. Sorry about the arm there. Try and keep my arm out of the way as much as possible. Make sure it's pressed on there really well. And then this one. See if we can do it without dropping it. Whoops. Ah. Looks pretty good. And then this part will go on here like that. And like that. Really nice, solid construction. Tell you what, old Ed knows how to make planes. Okay, and then to keep it front to back correctly, as you can see here, there's one notch. On the other side, there's two. So it should be easy to keep going in the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the small parts for this side here, which is D48, C33, D53. Okay, the first part I'm going to do is this little ultra teeny tiny D53, and that goes right here. Carefully put a little dab of cement on there. Okay, and then the next part is I'm going to do this hose right here. Now there's two ends. There's an end that has like a little flange on it that you can see right here. That is the one that goes down, and there's a little matching oval spot just like that. Look at that. It just dropped right into place. That is just stellar. So got that there. Now some manufacturers would probably just mold that in there, but not Eduard. So that way you get some nice relief there, and it looks really good. Okay, so the next part is this D48, and hold up. Okay, yes, I did drop that part, and yes, it fell on the carpet, but alas, I found it quickly. But something to note, that's supposed to be D48. Well, I cut off D49 because I don't know if you can see here, right here, that 49 has got some weird slash going through it, so it looked like an 8, but 48's right there. So I set that one aside, cut this one off. And good to go. So I will carefully, see it's got a little locating pin there. That's how I was able to determine I didn't need that part, because that didn't have a hole coinciding there. So I just drop that in place there. Make sure it's on the pin, or locating, yeah, the locating pin. And then just put a little dab of cement on there. Make sure it's pressed in place there nicely, and voila, so that one's done. So now we'll flip it over and we'll do the details on this side. So C24, D50, and that's the only two parts there, so hold on. Okay, so I got the two parts, and when I pointed them out I had this off screen, sorry, but it's a C24 and D50. And again, there's a little indentation there that matches the bottom part of the hose. So we'll get that where it goes right there. You know what? I think you got it going the wrong direction here. Hold on there, peoples. sorry, it goes in that little, there we go. Ah. There we go. Oh, almost. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little cement in there and then get it positioned a little better. There we go. Okay, and then a little bit on the top here. And we're good to go. All right, so we got that. So next is this wee little piece here. And again, that thing is really tiny. And there's like a little fitting on the bottom here that faces down. So I think it would be a good idea, using my awkward left hand, to put a little dot of cement in that locator there. Because I don't think it'll stay in place on its own. Like that. And it is slightly oblong, so it should fit in just one way. Okay, so the next part is on the same side here, but on this end. So I need to cut out C34 and C22. All right, I got these cut out. And it attaches there and up there. So we'll put that in place here. I don't know if you noticed that, but on the other hose as well, sometimes if you notice, when you put your cement on there, if it's not laying quite flat where it's supposed to, the cement will pull it down flat. It's kind of crazy how that works. Okay, let's put a little up top. Put that little dab of cement in there and it stood it straight up, because the capillary action kind of pulled the two flat surfaces together. Science is a wonderful thing. Okay, so then this part here, cement's here and here, so fits just like that. Kind of overlaps that hose. Fits up against that bulkhead or whatever it is. Okay, I'm hanging up a little bit, so I'm going to trim a little bit off of right here because it's catching on that hose and not bottoming out as it should. And I think the reason it is because, as I mentioned in other videos, especially on these flat parts like this, or parts of the flat surface, you can run into where instead of the side being perfectly 90 degrees to the flat surface, it's kind of slanted a little bit to make it easier to get it out of the mold. There we go, much better. So put a little bit of cement there and cement there. Make sure it's pressed into place. And that concludes this top section here. So the next part is a sub-assembly, which is this here, which is going to be the side of the cockpit. Alright, so the first thing to glue together is C39 and C44. I'm going to try and keep that in frame as I work. So we've got this and we've got this. So, oh, look at that. Like a glove. Just like that. Very, very wonderful. So, throw some cement there. And there. Flip it around. Here. And here. Mash it together, make sure it's on there nice and tight. And that's beautiful. Alright, so we got that. Then we've got N39, which has a nice little tab there to fit. Whoops. Okay. Put some cement there. And there. Hold that while it cures up for a minute. Make sure nothing slides around, gets weird. Okay, so we have that. And then you can either use photo etch or decal. So I'm going to be using photo etch, but that's going to come later because I'm going to paint this stuff first. So I'm just going to be putting all the plastic together first. So the next part is N43, which fits right here. And theoretically, you could put it one of two ways, but only one way does it fit. Flat. Or does it completely fill that little slot? Okay, and that is that way. So just put a little cement on here like that, put it in place, Now later on I may have to adjust that a little bit because the photo etch part is a bent part and it'll have to line up on here and on there, but that'll be easy to do, just a matter of touching a little bit of cement there. They'll soften it up again and it can be pushed into place. Alright, so that completes this part here. So it is ready to go into the fuselage part M18, but I need to cut out C42 first. Okay, so in the cockpit we've got C42 and this subassembly here. C42 fits, see if I can do it so you can see it fits right here. So I'm going to need to make sure that I get it lined up properly and that it all fits like it should. So let's let me do a little test fitting here and make sure it's fitting on here like it should. Okay, so here's a case where the thicker cement is going to work a little bit better. So I'm going to put a little bit here, and that will help hold it in place while I position it without setting up immediately. Then I can use the Tamiya extra thin on that seam right there. So put it there. And whoa, it slid. Whoops. See, this is a nice thing. It gives you a little bit of time to work. Wow. Okay, now put some Tamiya extra thin here and then make sure it's where it needs to be. Sorry guys, I'm getting off frame there. That looks pretty good. Okay, so there's that. Now this part here has these two little slots there that fit on those tabs, so there's no guesswork as to where it goes, and fits right down there. It only goes so far, and it will leave the appropriate spacing it illustrates here for C1, which is the floor of the cockpit. So I'm going to hold that in position. There. And that looks pretty good. So that takes care of this subassembly and that side of the fuselage. Okay, since this side is basically a mirror image of this one, I'm not going to film all this, so I will come back once I have all these parts in position. Okay, the only difference on this one is we have these two parts here. This one here, D56, I won't put on until after I do the photo etch. But D66 I can put on because this photo etch part will fit over where this, I'm assuming it's the throttle lever, it'll fit over that because it's flat on one side, and after I test fit it into the photo etch into the fuselage, it fits. So I won't have to worry about that, put it in afterwards. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, and basically this part here is the same color as the rest of the interior. It's just the knob on the end will be flat black. So and with that, I've already glued this part in here, which is C41, and then I'll glue this part in here. Some cement there, and there. Hold that in place for a second, make sure it's bottomed out where it's supposed to be. Yeah, see, I'll have plenty of room to put that photo etch part in after I get all this painted. So that completes page number 4 of the instructions, which is some of the interior fuselage parts. So this doesn't get too long. I'm going to end this video here. Thanks for joining me here on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Viewer's Choice Build 2 Eduard MIG 21 PFM. That's a mouthful. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, etc., put them in the comments below, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And stay tuned for the next episode, which is more of the interior fuselage parts and putting the fuselage halves together, which means I'll have to do some painting first. So that's it for now, and I will see you all later.